The BrightSign iOS application is used in connection with BrightSign media players found on the same local area network. Launching the application, it will search the LAN for BrightSign media players on the same LAN where the iOS application is installed. Finding media players, they're presented here in this list. I'm going to connect to the second player here on the list labeled Mobile Testing, and in so doing, I'm presented with 5 menu choices along the bottom after connecting to that device. The first, called Variables, will display variables that are associated with the project currently running on the device. And in this screen, if necessary, I could modify these variables. Having modified those variables probably will have an effect on the presentation that's currently running. The Actions menu is a similar behavior, except rather than modifying variables, I'm taking specific action, essentially signaling the player to perform tasks that have been pre-programmed as part of the presentation that currently runs. The Diagnostics icon takes me to the player's built-in diagnostic web server, wherein I will find options that allow me to diagnose and monitor behaviors on the player. The Diagnostics tab is particularly interesting, where I can cause the player to run a number of network diagnostics, speed tests, and perform other network configurations. The Gallery button will connect me to the store on the player where individual screen captures have been saved that represent the current player output. So these are individual captures of content running currently on this player. Finally, the Settings button modifies behaviors about how this application will interact with devices on the LAN. There's application-specific settings. Now, the Home button in the top left will perform a new search, and I can connect to a different player, which I'll do now, for example, this player. And here we see an example of a player that's protected with a username and a password. So I'll enter the username and password, and now I'm allowed to connect to this player. This particular player has no operations, no variables or actions available to monitor, so I'll return to the home screen and reconnect to the player I had in the first place. So you can see that from this home screen, I'm allowed to connect to and monitor and manage media players on my LAN, some of which are probably protected with a username and password, and some may not be. Once I select a player for modification or a player for use, it is presented with these choices along the bottom. So in summary, the BrightSign OS application will reveal variables and actions that pertain to a media player currently operating on the same LAN as the iOS device, give me access to those variables and actions to modify the behavior or control the behavior of the player. I can perform diagnostics, I can view screen captures, and I can update local application settings. That is the BrightSign iOS application.